Brad Cross, you're the Chief Revenue Officer at Sweed. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, you win the award, I was going to say of the week or the month or the year, but maybe ever, with the best real backdrop that's ever been on Cultivated. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm very proud to take this title. I'd like to thank my mother, my father, and everyone else who was involved in making this possible. Yeah, this is the office, and that's the real view. So I won't say I'm upset about it.
Do you sometimes, when you're not recording or on a Zoom, just practice pointing to the buildings that are iconic behind you?
I think my coordination's pretty good. Here's the Empire State Building, and then the Chrysler Building is somewhere over here. But yeah, hiding behind that block of apartments over there.
So the answer is yes. You are practicing.
Yeah, I've been told by a couple of people that I should turn my workstation around and use it for inspiration, but I think it's a good backdrop. So.
I think it's pretty good. It's so good that it actually looks fake. I think I told you before we went live. Thanks for being here today. We're going to talk about Sweed. We're going to talk about a webinar coming up. The first thing I want to ask is, I've been following the industry for a long time, and Sweed's grown from a point of sale platform into a broader, call it operating system. That's what you guys call it, for cannabis retailers. What's changed most about the product and the company's positioning over the past year or years?
Well, it's interesting. I think one of the defining characteristics of Sweed is that we haven't changed much in terms of what we're going out to do and in terms of what we're trying to achieve for our customers. We have a tagline, we innovate and others follow, and I think that's absolutely true. We set out some years ago with an all-in-one proposition. We looked at the fragmented technology in cannabis dispensaries. There's a point of sale system, there's a marketing system, there's a solution for e-commerce, inventory, et cetera, et cetera. All of these different systems being highly fragmented, not sharing data with each other, and giving you a very disparate experience when it comes to running your business. Sweed's defining moment, or nailing up our colors to the mast, was coming out with the all-in-one concept, where we have one unified platform, one login, one code base, one set of data that's accessible across all those different areas of the operation that you have, and help you run your retail operation in a super efficient way. We came up with the all-in-one concept that's been widely copied. Since then, we've evolved that with more functionality, more omni-channel communication capability, more hyper-personalization at scale without wanting to use too many buzzwords. And we've defined that actually it's not just an all-in-one collection of solutions for running your dispensary. It's actually the backbone of running your dispensary, and therefore it's a dispensary operating system. And that's how DOS was born. Again, imitation being the highest form of flattery. There are now others in the market who have come up with similar acronyms because they've realized that is what the market is looking for, is one provider, one system running all those different functions with all the benefits.
Yeah, and it seems to me that a lot of the dispensary owners, operators, whether they be mom and pops or sort of at scale, sort of multiple locations, that running the business itself is challenging enough. Learning tens of systems to run your operation is above and beyond what they really want to be doing. They don't that's what at least seems to me. Do you find that as well?
100%. Yeah, we've got people who've tried to hire IT firms or data analysts or to create a data lake to pull all of the data together from all those disparate systems and try and get to the point where they can actually interrogate what's happening in the business, make better decisions, and make the experience better for the customer and the profitability higher for themselves. And that in itself has been a real big challenge. And that's what Sweed aims to get rid of, is all technology that's designed to automate and help you get a better outcome is basically based on data. If we've got all the data available to any area of the business at any point in time, and to the AI that's working in the system to help you interrogate it, then it's just much easier to get to the right answer and to drive better outcomes for the customer.
Yeah, and that's actually where I want to go next, because I assume you and the team talk to operators across markets every day. Like, what's the biggest shift you're seeing maybe now versus a year ago or 2 years ago, and how dispensaries really are competing for customers?
I think that's the defining characteristic of the industry at this point in time, is that the competition has got so steep. Yeah. If we look back in time, there wasn't this level of saturation. So, you could open a dispensary and you might be lucky enough to be in a position where there isn't a lot of local competition, and therefore it's kind of easy to make this thing work. Now there is that level of saturation. Everyone has competitors knocking on their door. And they're all looking for that incrementality and efficiency, or that incrementality in how do we make the experience better for the customer, so we can start to try and create loyalty, because of course the competition gives the customer options. If the customer has options, then it's much harder to keep them loyal to your brand when they're shopping around and might see a flashy offer from someone else. So it really is that internal efficiency? Can we reduce the time and the human capital of running the business? And then it's how can we understand more about the customer more quickly across the touch points they interact with to try and get them involved in a more relevant and personalized discussion that makes them feel more loyalty and affinity for our brand specifically and makes them come back.
Speaking of loyalty and affinity, earlier this week, I think it was, in our newsletter, and we came across sort of us from the Newswire, we saw, let's call it a drop, not a word that I use very often, but a drop from Sweed called AI-powered smart surveys. Talk a little bit about what that means, because even in that, because the title continues on, the words AI come up a couple times, and I don't want to use the jargon for BS, because AI, I think a couple years ago was sort of jargon and BS, but now it actually does help people run their business. Talk a little bit about sort of that new feature and what it will mean, I think, particularly for dispensary owners and operators, people using the technology.
Yeah, definitely. So we've launched AI-powered smart surveys with Google review capabilities for dispensaries. So essentially what we're able to do is to help our customers to get involved in a dialogue through a survey format with their customers, which can be analyzed with AI to understand sentiment and then delivered through Google reviews to improve the positive public profile of their dispensaries to then help with acquisition. So, I mean, we spoke a moment ago about differentiation, about loyalty, but obviously acquisition is the front end of that process. If we're not acquiring those customers in the first place and successfully winning the battle on the public marketing forums that we look for cannabis dispensaries, then we're not going to have those customers to try and improve their experience and make them loyal. So we're looking at the front end of that customer journey. How can we leverage the existing customer interaction that we have, leverage the AI that can be applied to that to turn that into a more positive public profile, which then in turn helps you capture more customers and grow your business and beat those local competitors that we keep talking about.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I've had a busy summer. I've been on the road to see a lot of live music in places I don't live. And the number of times I've searched dispensaries near me and sort of how that generates sort of customers who are both local but also traveling is really important. It sounds like this sort of fits some of those needs, especially on the Google review side and appearing on Google. And I was gonna thank the dispensaries by name that I've been around to, but most of them are in Ontario. But they're very thankful for that for sure. And the late night stop before they close at 11 has become my favorite.
There you go. And we just want to take the passive nature of securing those Google reviews away and make that much more proactive, so that our brands can be more in control of their SEO, their brand reputation, et cetera, et cetera. So feeding into that dynamic is just allowing our dispensaries to use this technology to take control of that public profile, acquire more customers, and then have the opportunity to make those customers loyal buyers over time.
It actually speaks to what we talked about up front, sort of the operating system approach, right? To sort of be the one solution, because that bit of it, if I was on 10 different technologies and I'm a business owner and I'm running this dispensary and it's challenging as it is, to then go out, source another technology or be sold another technology to then integrate, it becomes very challenging for me who doesn't know the tech or the wherewithal to do that, to say, Sweed actually has this technology that is, integrated, easy to use, available now, can turn on. Like, I think that sort of puts a real fine point on what we're talking about at first.
100%. I mean, the key to customer loyalty, as far as I'm concerned, is the relevance of the dialogue. And the way that brands create a more relevant and personalized dialogue is having more data available across more touch points of how I behave as a customer. So how do I buy online? How do I buy in store? What offers attract me? What kind of products am I into? If I can tailor the conversation around exactly what I want, then I feel like that brand understands me, they understand my needs, they understand how to talk to me in a relevant way. And then that in turn is going to create a fantastic customer experience, which in turn we can then leverage into a great Google review, which then other people will see and be attracted to as well. So it is, as you said, it's a complete virtuous circle. And the more we can do to enhance more of that data, more of those touch points into that profile of the customer, communicate with them in a relevant way, and then get them essentially advocating for our business, that's the most powerful thing they can do. So.
Yeah. And I want to sort of, again, you're talking to a lot of dispensary owners and operators, people really successful in some very saturated markets. Like, are there one or two tips or tricks that the best dispensaries are using to do this, and that you've seen? Because I think it is insightful, and we're going to talk about sort of what we're going to talk about in the webinar in a sec.
Yeah, so I think it's back to the same thing again. It's understanding the customer. who am I? Am I the kind of person who is just looking for quick fix on a Friday night, and I want to be discount and offers driven? Okay, let's understand that that's that kind of customer versus someone who's more of a connoisseur, dare I say it, who wants to actually smell and feel the flower in store and wants to make sure they're getting the exact quality that they're looking for. If I can understand those different kinds of buyers and talk to them in a very different way, incentivize them in a very different way, and make sure that I'm offering them exactly what they're looking for, the dispensaries that are really winning are the ones that are able to be that discerning. Because you can see some dispensaries in a race to the bottom and they're being very discount and cost led in their strategy, and some dispensaries are trying to create that elevated experience and attract those kind of buyers. But the ones that are really winning are the ones that are able to really cater for all, and able to do that through real deep customer insight, leveraging AI, and then making that dialogue person hugely relevant to whichever kind of customer they're dealing with at the time.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking a lot more about this particular thing on August 20th. This is where I throw in a little pitch for something we're doing together. On August 20th, we're going to be co-hosting a webinar called From First Visit to Repeat Customer, a Playbook for Dispensary Growth. It's obviously Cultivated, it's Sweed, it's Nova Farms, and Black Canna. And we're going to be talking about local visibility, acquisition strategies, conversion opportunities. And I'm going to put a link to how to register for that because we think it's going to be a great webinar on the 20th. And again, those are some operators that are doing exactly what you're talking about, right? Like how to actually differentiate the market, attract those customers initially, and super important, keep them coming back.
100%. And we're leaning very heavily into not just the technology, but the best practice that exists around the technology. So we view the technology as the enabler that allows you to do the most sophisticated things that you can do to raise the effectiveness of your approach. And the webinar is going to be very much around how do you enable that functionality with technology? Then what are the best practices that sit on top of that? We've got the agency viewpoint, we've got the customer viewpoint, we've got the vendor viewpoint in the room. So it really is designed to help anyone who tunes in understand, what are the most successful tactics I could be using. We've got a growth toolkit that we can talk through at the time, and a number of different product releases, as you've mentioned already, which we've kind of teased a bit. We'll go into more detail on that.
Yeah, it is interesting because everything, and we'll talk about this in the webinar too, of course, enabled by Sweed and your operating system in the dispensary. And then there are some real life things in situ in a store that you can.
No, I think we've pretty much said it all. I'll leave the rest of the meat on what we're releasing and what we're doing for the webinar itself, just to say, if you're interested in building more acquisition for your dispensary and want to know how, then this is an event I'd attend.
Well, Brad, I super appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you down the road as well. We look forward to seeing the Sweed team on the 20th for the webinar. Everybody, please register. The link is linkable or clickable, I should say, in the show notes. And Brad, just one more time, you're going to point out to some landmarks behind you?
I'm just going to do the Empire State Building again. Or maybe One Madison Park is here. I like that one.
It's really good. The way you can do that is really good. Sometimes it's hard to figure out which way the camera's pointing, but you're quite good at it. I'm impressed.
Thanks. I've been practicing a lot.
Well, and I point to nothing, so it's easy for me. I could just do exactly the thing. Brad, thanks so much. We look forward to connecting you down the road. And everybody, register for the webinar on the 20th. The link is in the show notes. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, family.
You got it.